we'll just start off with Ukraine here. And of course, this is the gift that keeps on giving for the regime that we are living under at the moment. Now, I want to begin by highlighting this article from the Italian media. We'll do a quick translation of the headline there. So, the new Kiev peace plan widens the war with the help of NATO. The latest Russian airstrikes in Ukraine are proceeding in parallel with the advance in the Donbass. Kiev aims to involve NATO countries. And of course, we've heard a lot over the last little period about an alleged peace plan that Zelensky is wanting to pursue and so on. Let's bring the Lieutenant General back on screen again. This is an Italian military man. And in this article, which is where the previous quote came from as well, in this article, he is saying, he is quoted as saying that Zelensky wants to survive this current situation, so current critical situation, involve as many countries as possible, NATO and the US in this war. I would not believe so much in the willingness to come to a negotiation. So he's absolutely skeptical about Zelensky's claims that he's working towards getting to the negotiating table. Russia has launched a major intervention against Ukrainian power plants, he says, not an operation dictated by irritation, but one that has been planned for some time. It has incapacitated the Ukrainian electrical grid even more, creating problems that, although now limited to blackouts, could become dramatic this winter. Zelensky will present a peace plan, but Kremlin spokesman Peskov said that there's no longer any talk of negotiations now. So what he's saying is that as far as the Russians are concerned, this is not a serious suggestion on behalf of Zelensky. But anyway, Bertolini went on to say, there are those who pushed for this. Britain has done so, with the United States a little less. We presume that the British have been particularly active, and that seems to be the case. I mean, we've been reporting that for the last 2 years, how active Britain has been in pushing this. So what exactly is Britain pushing? This is Gilbert Doctorow, who's based in Brussels, an American analyst of Russian affairs, and he's taking quotes from a program called The Great Game. It's a talk show. And so let's just have a look at what he's saying here. This is his conclusion. Let us not have any illusions. If the Russians sense that the United States is about to pounce on them, to use the assets in Ukraine and beyond, not just against Russian planes, which have been moved back beyond the 900-kilometer range of Storm Shadows, for example, but on critical civilian infrastructure to disable the war effort, then a preventative Russian attack on NATO, on the continental United States, not to mince words, is entirely conceivable. Now, of course, what is he talking about? He's talking about the recent efforts by Ukraine to bomb the Kursk nuclear power plant, and this is becoming extremely dangerous. The Russians have responded to this, and Sergey Lavrov has said this. I think it's important to understand that this situation that we have, our own doctrine, he's talking about a nuclear doctrine, including the one governing the use of nuclear weapons. An effort to update this is underway. Moreover, he said, these Americans are well aware of the provisions it sets forth. Now, it seems to me that what's going on here is that the Britain, and in particular the United States and the EU, are effectively attempting to bait Russia into using nuclear weapons by keeping the pressure on and particularly attacking the nuclear power plant in Kursk. Now, my question, and a question that I've been wondering about for quite a long time, is where are the Greens in this? Where are the environmentalists? Because here's Britain's Green Party, and there seems to be absolute silence from them. Not only with respect to the environmental damage that's being done by the wars, which our governments are actively pursuing at the moment around the world, but by the nuclear danger. And the question is why? Now, if we go back to a year or so ago, the nuclear power station that was under Ukrainian attack at that time was Zaporizhzhya, and the statement from them at the time was Ukraine's attempts to shell the Zaporizhzhya nuclear power plant continue. Today, a kamikaze drone was shot down over the power plant. It fell on the roof of the 6th power unit. Threats to the Zaporizhzhya nuclear power plant safety have not been identified. And this is the comment from the IAEA Director General at the time. This is a major escalation of the nuclear safety and security dangers facing the Zaporizhzhya Nuclear Power Plant. Such reckless attacks significantly increase the risk of a major nuclear accident and must cease immediately. So that was then. This is now. In the meantime, we have, again, IAEA chief warning of risks of nuclear accident at Russian power plant in the Kursk region. Then we have more comments from Italy, this time to executive intelligence review by Italian scientists, saying that the German Greens, they're looking at Germany in particular, because the Greens are in the coalition there, want to have a nuclear accident in Kursk because they would use it to counter the resurging pro-nuclear wave in Europe. This is, I think, fairly accurate, and we've got to ask the question, why are the Greens so silent on this? We need to be putting some pressure in that direction. But coming back to the UK then, well, you'll be glad to know that there's a new era for defence because the government is launching a root and branch review of UK armed forces. Charles mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. This is the new integrated defence review, or the new defence review. And if you remember, they were talking about, strategic defence review. It's going to be headed by 3 external reviewers in a first of its kind for UK defence, Lord Robertson being at the head of the group, who's the former Defence Secretary and also a former NATO Secretary General. Here he is. So, he is going to be leading this. But you'll be glad to know that, first of all, that the Strategic Defence Review will determine the roles, capabilities and reforms required by UK defence to meet the challenges, threats and opportunities of the 21st century, deliverable and affordable within the resources available to the defence within the trajectory of 2.5% of GDP. But the review will ensure that defence is central to both the security and to the economic growth and prosperity of the United Kingdom. The reviewers would like to take this opportunity to engage widely and seek public views. Your input is encouraged and welcome. So there is a public consultation going on, and I just wanted to mention this aspect of the scope of that public consultation because they have used the term one defence. Now, this term has been used rarely over the last few years. It has been around for a couple of years, but I just thought we'd just let you know what that is. Because this is from Rolly Walker, the new Chief of the General Staff. Thanks to Charles for sending me this. And he was saying at a recent RUSI conference, and these forces will lie at the heart of NATO and be filled with the best soldiers in the world, supported by incredibly committed civilian staff and leading industrial partners and the nation itself, and providing value at every turn, societally, politically, internationally, economically, as well as just militarily. This is the one defence mindset that the Secretary of State referred to yesterday, and to which I fully subscribe. So let's look at a definition or a comment from another document. The approach to recruiting, educating, training and retaining people needed for one defence, including regular, reserve, civil service and industry. This is to include how service life can be improved for those who commit to serve their country in uniform. This one defence is not just limited to Britain either. This term is being used in Australia and other countries within the Western Bloc. And this seems to be the absolute integration of the military with civilian and other infrastructure, but also internationally as well. And just very briefly, this is the call for evidence for the Strategic Defence Review. It's a great opportunity to get involved in this discussion. With the show notes, we'll have the link to this, and I suggest that everybody gets involved.